It's the best music, not just in Southern California, but really across the globe. It's the all-new Voice of Laguna. Welcome. 11:07 the time. It's a beautiful Tuesday, just a few days before Valentine. And as we do each and every month, we are delighted to welcome Professor Melissa Harris in for the Valentine conversation today. Dr. Harris, or Professor Harris, I'm sorry, how are you today?
Fantastic. Hi, Ed.
It's wonderful to see you.
It's so great to be here.
You are a happiness facilitator, and mission accomplished so far, so good today. So that's for you, by the way. So the day, how have you been, first of all, before I get rolling into all of these many questions I have for you? How have you been?
I have had so many great moments since the last time we saw each other.
Okay,
so, yeah, how about you?
I'm fantastic. As I mentioned off air, I'm having hip surgery next month. I'm feeling really great about getting back on the soccer pitch and playing basketball and all of those things. So
I'm going to come cheer you on when you play your first soccer game.
Please do. Please do. I'll look forward to that. So can I get right into it?
Please do.
All right. Valentine's. It's I have long said that it's a holiday that's just been commercialized way too much. More jewelry is sold on that day. Am I wrong, or am I cynical about it? Or
I mean, I think you can be both.
Okay.
It's not an either or.
Okay.
I think my favorite word from this last year is "and." It can be a lot of things. Just "and." It's really come in handy. It absolutely can be a superficial holiday where people who don't express their love throughout the rest of the year use it as an excuse to say, okay, I checked that box.
Right. Okay.
So
let's talk about, you're here and specifically to talk about healthy relationships,
yes.
which I will do my absolute best to stay focused on. But if you don't mind, let's start with healthy relationships and start with a father-daughter relationship. And I've long heard that grown women, should have had a healthy relationship with their father in order to succeed in personal relationships growing up. How much of that is true, and does it hold water?
So that's a fantastic question. When we look at the parent-child dynamic, one of the things that I actually did my master's thesis on was looking at differential and combined attachment to mothers and fathers. And what we see is that really, if you have one healthy, secure attachment, then that's going to predict most of the interactions that you have. And then a second and a third and a fourth actually just are icing on the cake. So it doesn't necessarily have to be the father. You know, we have a lot of amazing children that are the products of two moms.
Right.
And so when we look at that, just having one secure, healthy attachment it predicts most of it. So one of the things that is a confounding factor or something to take into consideration is that if you have a healthy relationship with one parent, you're also more likely to have a healthy relationship with the other. Right. That's because we tend to mate with people that are similar. So if we are emotionally available, we can really influence how we express our emotions and have good regulation in that area, we're going to be drawn to a partner that's similar to that. And so we see that two high-functioning people are more likely to mate and have children, or have children.
Right. And do the same truths hold for a child who is male and a child who is female? Do they have the same needs emotionally from these parents?
Well, I think that when we look at gender, sometimes it's really easy to simplify it down. But if you just look at humans, we have different needs, right? So we do see that having positive role models, strong relationships with mentors, then that does have a huge influence. And sometimes, like with my kid's dad, he was the preschool teacher. He was super nurturing. He was, if they fell down and got hurt, they were just as likely to go to him as they were to come to me. Right. And so not all dads and not all moms fit into those gendered stereotypes, just like the same with children. Sometimes, like my son is my most tender-hearted child. Right. So sometimes those needs are more individual than based on the gender. But we absolutely, the more people that you have loving you, the more chances you are that those needs will get met.
Right. So as you're speaking, I'm thinking to myself, this is why I love these conversations. Thank you so very much for that clarity. And as the kids get older, and they develop relationships, first girlfriend, first boyfriend, yes. Those types of relationships, should it be friends first and friends throughout, or can you start a relationship not being friends first?
Oh, such a great question too. You're full of them today, Ed. I love it.
I'm full of something. Yeah.
Well, I don't usually bring lists in, but I brought a list in today. And one of the ones that is on here, it's actually number 1 on John Gottman's list of, he calls them master relationships or disaster relationships. Oh. And he says in a master relationship, you are friends. You are good friends with your partner. And that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to start there, but it is a core component to couples that we see that are masters, that are happy, that value their relationship and derive a lot of happiness and joy from there. Right. And so that friendship piece, I think about you and your partner. You've been together 21 years?
21.
And I only met the two of you together very briefly, but the friendship piece was radiant. You could tell you were really on each other's team. And when you think about the friendship, that means you are curious. You're interested in your partner. You ask a lot of open-ended questions. And that is just so valuable when we're seeing the relationships that are healthy. So it doesn't necessarily have to start there, but it has to be a core component.
In order for it to be successful and last and
yeah,
be
or
something
just be
enduring.
healthy.
Right.
I mean, there's really unhealthy relationships that last a very long time, but we're looking at healthy specifically.
Right.
So
right.
That's one of the things that we just see. You really cannot be a healthy relationship without that piece.
Right. I think some of my favorite moments are the quietest moments. The we could just literally just be doing our own things within that same space, and then boom, a conversation ignites for the next hour and a half, and then an hour and a half has gone by, and wow, we spent all this time talking, and we weren't talking.
I think that the pulse or the truth of a relationship is held in that silence. Right. And so when you sit in silence with a person, you really know the state of the relationship.
Okay. Well, thank you for that. In unconventional relationships, and I'm using that in quotations because it is a conventional relationship.
Right.
I know.
We've talked about that a lot.
We have.
Yeah.
In unconventional relationships that flower into love and a more conventional relationship.
Sure.
Where's that line? Is it always blurred between the unconventional and the conventional?
I think that relationships evolve and they change. Right. And so you can start out in a very, non-traditional way, or you could try a relationship very traditionally and it doesn't work. Right. And so I think that we have to look at it as a continuously evolving and growing, almost like a third entity that you nurture. So, I think that it can absolutely change.
As I witness older couples, and throughout the course of the day here at the radio station, there are some wonderful older couples that have been together a long time that walk by here. And I often ask myself, I wonder what that secret is. We have Ralph and Anita, 50 plus years together. Yeah. I wonder what their secret is. And is it these things that you're talking about? Is it?
Yeah, I mean, it's not so much of a secret. And I love that you asked that question. Those are the kinds of questions that I was so curious about answering, and I wanted to do it through science. So,
thank you. Yes.
That's the nerd in me. I think of my parents who have been married for so long and truly just adore each other and have that friendship piece. And that's one of the things that we break down and we ask not just like I originally asked my parents, but asked hundreds and hundreds and thousands of couples, and we go, okay, what is that secret? What is it that keeps you together, that keeps you happy in your relationship, and what is it that makes a healthy one? And so, I mean, that's my list right here is the secrets. but that friendship piece that you mentioned is really important.
And you mentioned earlier that couples that don't have that might fight all the time could still last years.
Right. Yeah. So conflict is an interesting thing when we look at relationships, because we're imperfect people.
Right.
We're in a relationship that's not perfect. There's going to be conflict.
Right.
And so it's really how you navigate that. It's not necessarily how frequent or common. And we have impasses. We have things that we are always going to disagree on in relationships, and that doesn't necessarily doom it or make it unhappy. In fact, Gottman, one of his quotes that he's famous for is, conflict is an opportunity to learn how to love each other better over time. And when you look at conflict, when you do that, is it really so that you can figure out the relationship, how to show up better for your partner? And then another huge one is the repair that happens after. Do those negative feelings linger, or do you actually have resolution? And so that repair is a huge, huge predictor of those couples that are get together 50, 60, 70 years,
Does the chemistry, does our makeup, how much is chemistry a part of this? And
I love your questions. So number one on my list, because we kind of went toward the end, is to have a realistic perspective on relationships. And last time we talked about, the beginning of relationships, how you have those butterflies, and it's a very powerful drug. And we talked about Helen Fisher's research on what love does to the body and the chemistry behind it. And that, the spark, or that idea that it's going to be a soulmate that's going to complete you, that really is awful. It's really a terrible mindset to have going into a relationship.
Does it put too much pressure?
So much pressure, and it's not real.
Right.
It's just not how we're wired to have long-term relationships that are healthy. If you are looking for that chemistry to be the same after 30 years, it just will not be. It's like going on the same roller coaster 100 times. Eventually, it's not going to give you the same effect. And truly, we don't want it to. It would be too exhausting to maintain that chemistry at the same level that it is at the beginning. That doesn't mean that there's not a strong attachment, that there's not passion, that there's not that, you still want to make out with each other after 40 years.
Right.
But that shouldn't be what you're basing the relationship on.
Right.
Is those chemical feelings.
Right.
They're they lie.
Right.
and that realistic perspective, we just kind of around this whole, going back to Valentine's Day, we have this idea that you're going to get shot with an arrow of love, and it's just going to hit you so hard that it's uncontrollable and you can't stop it. And this person is going to be your soulmate, your twin flame. They're going to complete you. They're going to be everything. It's going to make life bliss. You're never going to have to worry again. And that's just a bunch of shit. It's just not how it is.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for that clarity. People with bipolar conditions, or manic depression, or depressed people, in a sense, in other senses, broken people, can they ever have healthy relationships?
So I'm going to stop you. I don't think that we're broken people.
Okay,
just period across the board.
That was offensive to you, I can tell. Right.
Well, because I think that, we're just having this human experience.
Right.
And so I don't think that anyone's broken. Okay. When we look at things like clinical depression or bipolar disorder, absolutely, you can have a healthy relationship. And when you look at what you bring into a relationship, all of us have things. And this idea that we need to be perfect, unbroken humans before we're in a healthy relationship is not how it actually works. We do most of our healing in a close relationship. That is an extremely motivating factor to get more healthy, to learn how to love ourselves better, to learn how to love the other person better. And it's about finding somebody that can really bring out the best and the strengths, and that can be regardless of whatever diagnosis or lack of diagnosis. I mean, again, we all have things that we're bringing into a relationship.
And you mentioned loving yourself better and bringing that into a relationship.
Sure.
Are all people able to do that? And if not, maybe a step or two of how to do that.
Loving yourself better?
Yeah.
There's such fantastic research in this area on self-compassion and love. And when we look at the research from Kristen Neff at she's at NAU, she really talks about this idea that it can be something that we practice and that we learn how to do. I remember I had a student many years ago. She kept going to school. She became a professor, and she actually took my role when I retired. And so she's now a professor. One of the things that
You're glowing with how proud you are right now.
My gosh.
You literally just started glowing.
Well, she's such a phenomenal human, and to see her be able to impact so many people. She's actually doing a TEDx talk next month on self-compassion.
Very cool.
And love. But she talked about how much she really struggled with this. And one of the counselors that she saw said she needed to write on a mirror that she looked at every day in, marker, I am lovable. And then it rotated, I am beautiful. I am worthy. And she said in the beginning, she would read it and just cry because she could not identify with that at all. And it chokes me up because so many people feel that way, where they look in the mirror and they really don't love themselves. And you can learn that. You absolutely can practice it. And that is something that, if you are struggling in that area, it can be very small things. Have a win. Give yourself something to be proud of and make it realistic. Maybe it's just, I'm going to drink more water in the day, and you set a cup of water on your nightstand. So the first thing you do when you wake up is you drink that water and you have a win. You have a reason to be proud of yourself. You can lose yourself in service. That's another way to really learn to love yourself better. Because when you're focusing on giving to other people and to making the world a better place, it's hard to hate yourself. And that ebbs and flows. You can have somebody who really had a lot of self-compassion and love for a lot of years. It can go away. It can come back. It's not permanent. And so doing those things where you set yourself up so you do like yourself more is one of the things. And loving other people, it's going to come back to you. So the ways that you can incorporate that into your life, there's so many.
I'm so glad I asked that question. So when we say the words healthy relationship, what are we measuring that against?
I think we're really looking at the masters versus the disasters.
Okay.
So these relationships that you look at and you're like, oh, that's a ticking time bomb. We know that's going to end so horribly, maybe even with a protective order.
It's so funny you say that. One of Anne-Marie and I, one of our favorite things to do is to sit places and go, oh, they're not going to work out. Oh, that's not good. That doesn't.
And how do you base it? What's your criteria?
Because I'm judgmental, number one, and just the fact that it's whatever's funny to us is what comes to mind.
Okay.
So we have a little fun doing. Oh no, that doesn't look like it's going to work.
That's headed for.
He's going to fail.
Yeah.
But I'm sorry, I cut you off. I didn't mean to.
That's great. It's a really entertaining game. I bet you're gonna really influence other people to play that game. Maybe Valentine's Day would be a great day to really start that one. But yeah, so when we look at things that are just going to be dysfunctional,
right.
And that can be from the communication. A huge part of communication is listening. We need to be master listeners in order for our relationships to be able to be healthy. So we look at these things of what is going to make it so that 50 years from now you're still holding your partner or partner's hands,
right.
And that there's a lot of peace and joy derived from that relationship.
Okay. And going back to the elderly couple that I told you passes by, and I'm not using them specifically, I'm just wanting to use an elderly couple as an example. Sex in a healthy relationship. I know that Sex is everything at the start of a relationship, but as a relationship gets older and the people get older, there may be less sex in the relationship itself. Still healthy?
Yeah.
If there's no sex?
Well, it's interesting because when we look at sex over, like marital status or commitment status, you might be having more of it before or early on, but we actually see satisfaction goes up over time. And that's because intimacy is such a huge part of how happy we are with our sex lives. So that piece usually grows over time. Intimacy takes time. Right. And so even if it's 12 times a day in the beginning and it's 12 times in a year later on, that intimacy really is going to determine the amount of satisfaction. It's not the frequency that does that. And at some point or another, if you're in a long enough relationship, sex will be an issue. It's just how it is. And so it's more about how you communicate and you connect through that, and how you navigate the differences in expectations and desire. And so that's just something that really can anchor on to that friendship piece. If you see your partner as a friend and not an adversary, then you're going to have honest, vulnerable conversations around that topic. And that's a hard one because, you talked about relationships with moms and dads. We don't have a lot of models for healthy sex conversations. Thank goodness my parents did not model that in front of me. Like, no kid really wants to see that with their parents, right? No. It's not where we want to learn it from. Just disgusting. But when I taught human sexuality, I used to always joke and be like, my parents had sex 4 times. That's Paul, me, Jake, Natalie. End of story. Don't want to know about it, right? But clearly that is a part of a healthy relationship, and we don't have it modeled by our parents typically because we don't want it. Nobody does. However, we turn to sources that aren't great, like social media or the television, and so to be able to have those healthy conversations around sex is not something that we're great at. And hopefully that's an area that we can improve, the more honest that we become with relationship needs. So,
and beautiful point. How soon should a parent speak to their child about sexuality? And is it ever too soon?
I think that when we look at that, we have to see how we define that. We really should start having conversations organically and naturally in very small ways straight from the beginning, where we use the anatomical names for things. That's 1 year old, younger. Then we start modeling healthy relationships and having actual conversations about what those mean very early on. So at kindergarten, if a boy punches you, it's not because he likes you. We don't want to pair that. We don't want to have, that kind of mindset of, if somebody likes you, they hurt you. And so when we talk about sexuality, I think that it's sexuality and relationships, and those conversations need to be ongoing.
And listening is the most important part of that conversation on the parents' end.
Yeah, listening. And then also I found I can buy myself a few seconds of time when I say, well, what are your thoughts on that? And then I can poker face it and go, ho, 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 through all the list of like, what do I say? How do I handle this correctly? How do I really want to show up? And fear parenting in this area is not shown to be a good thing. Shocking. So saying don't do it, we know they will. Having the fear base, you'll go to hell, that kind of stuff. It really doesn't serve our well-being.
I love what you said about in kindergarten, if the boy punches you, he doesn't like you. That's so true. And parents, I remember as a father of a kindergarten child, I would remember other parents saying that. I'm like, no, that's not the case. So thank you for that.
Yeah, so I think we start it really young, but maybe we don't get down to like the consequences and all of that sort of stuff until a little bit older.
In a healthy relationship, shared experiences.
Oh, that's a huge one. That's also on my list,
I
Ed.
love that. Thank you. Talk to us about it.
So it's a balance. You need to have solo experiences and
Right.
things on your own. But, we talk so much about quality of time, and you can't have quality without some sort of quantity.
Right.
And so having these shared experiences, sharing time together, I don't think I'm uncommon in that, I talk about love with my parents, my siblings, my children, and we all sort of joke that the Gibson love language is inclusion. Because there's so much with those shared experiences and sharing that piece, being seen in these new ways or old ways that really are the foundation for that connection. And so the shared experiences, my older brother, he set me straight, really changed how I have these shared experiences with the people that are important to me. Probably about 10 years ago, I was waiting for everything to be resolved in my life, and then I was going to take it to my family with a perfect little bow on it and say, hey, this happened and everything's great now. And my brother called me out on it, and he said, hey, you're going through some stuff, and these shared experiences make people feel loved. We want to be part of the mess. The mess is where the beauty is in a relationship. And so it doesn't have to be just shared experiences of, we're planning this vacation, we're going to do it together. But those daily things, letting people know, not just, oh, I had cancer and now it's better. Telling them from the beginning, that's really where you build that friendship, that trust, that intimacy.
And the other side needs it too.
Oh,
yeah, right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's amazing how much we hide from each other. So I think those shared experiences are built on honesty. And in order to feel loved, our partner needs to know us. And so that's a need from both ways.
I have two good friends of mine. They're now two good friends of mine. Two gentlemen, both widowers.
Mm-hmm.
Lost their lifetime partners. Each of them lost their lifetime partners and somehow found each other.
Aww.
And they are thriving right now. They're absolutely thriving. They still feel the heartbreak of having lost their partners, but they're now moving to that next step together, and they're living together, and they're sharing all the things that they once did with their respective lost partners.
What a beautiful friendship.
I cannot get enough of them. I cannot get enough of their happiness. And I don't know if I could be that strong. And I've mentioned this on air before. If I lost, I can't even say it, but if I lost my partner, I would collapse. I would spend the rest of my life in the dark. I wouldn't get out of bed. I couldn't imagine that type of strength. What is it that they have?
I think they have that "and" word going for them.
Right.
You can have grief and happiness. You can have ongoing heartbreak and deep new connections that give life meaning. You can sit in that dark and also leave the room occasionally to enjoy the sunshine. And so I think that, we really don't know what we're going to do when hard things happen. We can visualize that dark room that we want to crawl into. But I think that word "and" really, I'm telling you, it's my favorite word of the year. You can have a beautiful and painful existence. They don't have to be either or.
There's no mutual exclusivity there.
Exactly.
All right. Thank you. Okay. And every time I see them, I am happy. They make me happy. They're just wonderful people. So I love them both.
And that dark room, I mean, they probably went and sat in each other's dark room together. So you talk about how you would be there. You might want to be alone for a minute, but somebody might join you. That might change the darkness. And they were able to do that for each other. So you really have to meet people where they are in order for that kind of friendship and meaning to come from it.
Thank you. on to the day of Valentine's.
Okay.
If I can.
Sure. Yeah.
I spoke to you off air, and when we started this, about what I think is the superficiality of it, the pressure of a Valentine, the pressure of feeling the need to say something you would normally say every other day of the year, but for that day, commercialized, I think.
Sure.
An opportunity for us to say, you know what, set aside the commercial aspect of it. Here's how it is. Let me break it down. This is how I feel the rest of the year anyway.
Yeah, I really think that those healthy couples, they express that gratitude often, and not just on Valentine's Day. So gratitude is a huge part of a healthy relationship. You know, in the beginning, say your partner brings you coffee in bed and you're like, thank you, thank you, thank you. And then 5 years later, you're like, where the hell is my coffee in bed? I'm waiting, right? And so these things become expectations when you show up with that gratitude on the regular for those small things and the big things. It really does change the dynamic of a relationship. If you only do it on Valentine's Day, you're missing a lot of opportunity for joy for you and your partner. The ratio that Gottman came up with was 5 positive to 1 negative. And so we really need to go out of our way to express those positive things. It can become a habit, especially for the disasters, to only speak up when things aren't right. So we need to say when things are going well. And they might be background because it's just, business as usual. But that's kind of amazing. Those ordinary days are extraordinary. So highlight them. Tell your partner thank you. Remind them that you love them.
Ordinary days are the best.
Yeah. When people are like, what's been going on? And I say, not much. I'm like, ooh, life is so good.
Yeah. You mentioned television and social media earlier. And I'll keep it in the sense of pressure. Growing up, every family was this nuclear family of 4 on TV that was successful, and everyone had their role simply for the sake of a 26-minute television half hour, whatever that situation was, or the 60-minute show, whatever. But everyone had their role. For that generation that grew up with that kind of it's got to be a perfect marriage. I imagine that my life will be like that. The undue pressure that put on society as a whole, for those of us that believed that family could be, how destructive is that?
Well, I think that it's not destructive if you wanted a husband or a wife and 2 kids and it happened for you. But that's not the reality for most people. And so we see that The Atlantic actually just did an article on this where they looked at coupling around the world and the United States. It is at an all-time low. We are pairing up with people at lower rates than we ever have. And part of that is the expectations that we have from social media are actually pretty high. We see these snapshots of super happy people and we go, well, I don't have that, end of story, right? We're also seeing that because women are making significantly more money, that they don't need marriage as an economic security. And so that is really fascinating when we look at that idea of this perfect nuclear family, because we're seeing all these other options that we're no longer saying that has to be the only way. And some people are saying, that's a destructive thing that we're not coupling. And other people are saying it's an empowering thing that we don't feel that pressure. It's probably a little bit of both. Okay.
And dating apps, the destruction of society?
Yeah. No, actually. Okay. I mean, you and I talked about how we don't really have a personal experience on those. Right. And so it's easy to judge it from a place of never experiencing it. Right. But for a lot of people, it really opens up the dating opportunities and possibilities. And so it is something that has actually changed dating, but I don't know that we can give it a moral good or bad judgment. Right. It's just changed it.
Going into it with the thought of finding your true love, though?
Well, It's interesting because how we're dating has been shaped by dating apps, and it's almost like a job interview when you talk about, dating for a lot of people. I don't know, you and I have said that we had a lot of fun with it. It's probably partially our personality. We bring a lot of fun to everything that we decide that we're going to do. And so people are looking at it as a job interview. They're interviewing this perfect person that they want to, grow old with. And they have a spreadsheet of requirements, and they go into the first date and then the second and the third, and it's very separate from the rest of their lives. And if they, make it to the final round, interview style, then maybe they meet the friends and eventually the parents. But that's not actually the healthiest way. And so we are seeing that within that context of dating apps, we're starting to see a lot of researchers say, hey, you know what would be awesome is if we did bring some of the strengths of old school dating into this experience where it's not an interview, and you incorporate them into your life, your friends. You don't wait 6 years for them to meet your parents, because there's so much information that you get when you share time with your partner or potential partner and their friends and family. And so, you're a hiker, you take them on a hike. You don't meet at a coffee shop and go down the checklist. It's very superficial, and it's a little bit harder to really, have an enjoyable experience if that's the mindset. So.
Thank you. Do we romanticize love too much?
I mean, that's Valentine's Day, right?
Thank you.
Yes, we do. And it's not helpful. We have these romantic ideas that you're going to meet somebody and they're going to complete you. And that statement really kind of makes my skin crawl, because although, you are coming in with issues and areas that you need to grow, you should be a complete person. You really need to not look for somebody else to bring that to the table. And if you put your happiness on somebody else, your love is going to feel like cement. It's going to feel heavy. So yeah, that whole romantic idea. I mean, the good parts of it, the part where you take your partner flowers in April and not just on February 14th, that is actually a good thing. But the idealization of it's just really kind of not great when we look at the masters.
Thank you. Have I missed anything on that list?
Let's see. Don't expect someone to change. That's on my list.
God, yes. Let's talk about that.
Okay.
So you meet somebody, you think, wow, this is a great person. I think I can change them.
Yeah. They're great in all these ways, but I know I can change it.
Right.
Actually on here, I have, don't expect someone to change. I should have wrote, don't expect someone to change for the better, because usually it gets a lot worse. And so when I used to talk to my 18, 19-year-old students, I would say, you bring your A game in the beginning. Can you really handle this relationship if it's knocked down a few? And then you maybe have something to stand on if the answer is yes. You really are not honoring the person, and that's not really loving them. I think that when we love somebody, we don't necessarily have to endorse what we see as flaws, but we need to have a level of acceptance and appreciation that they're an individual. They're not your puppet. Right.
Those flaws exist, and they are part of why I love this person.
And if you can go to that extreme where you're like, I'm going to redefine perfection based on this person's flaws, you really have a lot of love in your heart. And that looks at that self-acceptance piece too. If you are really hard on yourself, the main voice in your head is critical, and you're defensive all the time, that's going to be mirrored in your relationship.
Okay. And I love this conversation. I can't thank you enough for it.
Thank you.
And anything else that you brought on the list that I'm not touching?
Well, no, I think that's pretty much it. I was thinking about Valentine's Day and how so many people hate it. Not just for the reasons that you said, but if you aren't in a, if you don't have a lover, then it can be a reminder of all these people that do. Right. And so I was having a conversation with my older brother about this idea of what broken looks like, what a broken heart means. And I came across this quote by Rising Woman. And they say, "There will be lovers who heal you and lovers who break you. But if they break you, let them break you open and turn you toward your soul. Let them break you open to the truth that lives inside you. Let them break you open so that you can see the beauty in your own depths, but never give them the power to turn you away from love." And so for people who have those broken hearts going into Valentine's Day, there's so many different kinds of love to celebrate. The friendship love, the family love, the love of nature, those are all wonderful things that we can celebrate if we don't have a special love on February 14th.
That's absolutely beautiful. Professor Melissa Harris is a happiness facilitator at Juniper Consulting. And my God, home run today.
Thank you, Ed. It's so great to be here.
How do our listeners find you?
www.juniperhappinessconsulting.com, and all my information's on there for appointments. We do virtual and in person.
Okay. I love today's conversation, as I love each of our conversations. Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Professor Melissa Harris. 11:48 the time. It's the Mornings with Ed show on the all-new Voice of Laguna.
New, sexy, the Mornings with Ed show on the Voice of Laguna.